doing a voiceover on Oakley's first introduction to cattle. So I start her on the long line just like I did when I introduced her to sheep. So I can go ahead and get her in the right state of mind, just kind of see what her reaction to the cattle is, and kind of see where she wants to put herself. So all of this is stuff that I think that I know based on her reactions to sheep and goats. But it is always nice to go ahead and see that again on cattle with the ability to correct her with the long line or place her where I need to or stop her if I need to. Not really putting any pressure on her to begin with, just kind of trying to get her in there and get them moving and see what she chooses to do. I always try to take the dog towards the head, walk them in on the heads, and just kind of show them that these cattle are going to move off of them, that they don't have to get boosted up, they don't have to get in that state of adrenaline. So a lot of dogs, especially if they've been exposed to cattle before, or if they haven't been exposed to cattle and they're kind of nervous, they might try to get in there and bully the cattle to get them to move. It's so nice to have training cattle that will move off of a dog, just to show them that that adrenaline is not needed. Teach them how to do it right from the start. So you can see when she's on the back of cattle, she's more focused, her tail is down. Then when I pulled her out to the side, her tail came up just a little bit. So that's just showing you that she may be a little bit nervous about going towards the heads of the cattle. I'm going to go ahead and take her off the long line and start working her. And here's where we're going to work through a little bit of pretty common problem, which is her response to pressure. She did really pretty good on that little first send, and I'm just trying to let her get a feel for cattle. And here's where her adrenaline starts to come out a little bit. So you can see her tail coming up. She's moving pretty quick side to side. So I put a little bit of pressure on her because she pushes the cattle on me, and right here she's avoiding pressure. So what happens is she was amped up because of the pressure of the cattle. I put pressure on her to get her to stop, and what she did was she tried to rush out of my pressure. Then she ran into the pressure of the cattle again, which speeded her up more. So I just have to get to a position where I can get her stopped and then restart her. So right there, I give her a there command, and that's her cue to kind of turn in and control cattle. And right here, she's just getting out of the pressure again. So I'm going to get into a position where I can get her stopped. I'm going to let everything settle, and then I'm going to apply a little. Right there, she's rushing. So she's rushing outside of the pressure instead of just taking my suggestion and bending and then going nicely around the cattle. So I had to go in a straight line between her and the livestock, and when I get to a position to get her stopped, she does stop. So then I release the pressure, which is what I've done now, and now I'm going to start putting a little pressure on her to get her to go that direction again. Once she's responding appropriately, I can let her work. And right there, she took my there command and checked up. And so now I'm going to try to let her work some more. So just giving her a chance to get a feel for that, but with the always thinking about making sure that her responses to me are correct. So right here, she gets up and she's going in a straight line to cattle. So I make a line. Basically, I'm trying to block her, then I put a little pressure on her shoulder. She turned out nicely, so I get out of her way, let her go until she changes her trajectory, and then I have to step in again. And at that point, she was a little bit too far for me to do too much, but she chose, instead of rushing around the pressure of the cattle, to pop back out. So that's why I was able to reset her here, and that was a much nicer flank. So this is why I like to start them on sheep first, so I can give them the idea of how I want them to react to pressure, and what's correct, and getting their attitude right. Then when we go to cattle, I know I'm probably going to see either a boost in their confidence or a dog who maybe gets a little bit adrenalized whenever they get in close to cattle. So I know I need them to respond a certain way to pressure. And if they're not, then this is the time in the small pen where we can really start to work on that. And make sure that she knows, because again, dogs don't generalize. So she knows it's the same on sheep, it's the same on goats, it's the same on cattle. Nice little flank there. Letting her settle in and just work. I see her tail is down, her speed is good, she's not pushing my cattle over me. So all those are things that can be dangerous in the pens, dangerous out in the open if your cattle get to running and your dog's not trying to get control. So it's not her speed, it's really her attitude, her trajectory, and the way the cattle are responding to her.